LeBron James and the Lakers are in serious trouble of missing the playoffs this season. With 25 games remaining in the regular season, James is under 500 after the All-Star break for the first time since his rookie season. But that wasn't the only time LeBron didn't make the playoffs.
How's it going, guys? My name's Wilson. It's been 14 years since LeBron James missed the playoffs. A lot has happened since then. It was also the same year Tim Duncan won his third NBA championship. Shaquille O'Neal was in his first season with Miami. Carmelo Anthony was on the cover of NBA Live. Zion was in kindergarten. YouTube was just launched in February of 2005. While George W. Bush was re-elected president after knocking off John Kerry. I was in the 5th grade. It's been quite a journey. Now that I'm 3 years out of college, here was what the NBA actually looked like the last time LeBron James missed the postseason.
James had just finished his rookie season and on the rise for superstardom. Kobe and Shaq broke up after the Lakers got beaten down by the Pistons in the finals. Steph Curry and Kevin Durant were still juniors in high school. Steve Nash took his talents to Phoenix, where the 7 seconds or less run and gun Suns came to existence, giving us a preview on how the play style of the league was going to change. T-Mac was traded to Houston, teaming up with Yao. Some of the most notable draft picks that season: Dwight Howard, Emeka Okafor, Andre Iguodala, Luol Deng, Tony Allen, J.R. Smith, and Delonte West. Most players in that draft have already retired. It was also the last time the Seattle Supersonics team made the playoffs before relocating to Oklahoma City, led by sharpshooters Ray Allen and Rashard Lewis. The Pacers-Pistons brawl also took place that season, famously known as Malice in the Palace. The Charlotte Bobcats participated in their first season, prompting the league to expanding 3 divisions in each conference, where it only used to be 2 the previous years. 2 of the biggest signings that summer, Steve Nash and Shaquille O'Neal, completely changing the league and the power of their teams. Phoenix finished an awful 29-53 the season before, until Nash's arrival, combined with offensive genius head coach Mike D'Antoni, allowing Steve to control the offense, made the Suns the most entertaining team to watch, playing in an up-tempo style, running the pick and roll between Nash and Amari, a devastating combination, creating mismatches where Nash used to toy with the big men outside the perimeter, hit Amari rolling to the basket, or kick it out to Joe Johnson or Quentin Richardson for the 3, or just draw it up to Sean Marion. Phoenix was one of the biggest stories of the NBA that season, surprising everybody how dominant they were, won a league best 62 games. Down in South Beach, Shaq was still the best center in the league, instantly turned Miami into contenders, winning 59 games where Nash just edged out Shaq for MVP by 34 votes, one of the closest and most controversial MVP races in NBA history. The Bulls and Wizards were up-and-coming teams in the East, led by second-year point guard Kurt Heinrich, rookie Ben Gordon, 19-year-old Luol Deng, a 22-year-old Tyson Chandler, who reinvented himself after being labeled as a bust, and Eddie Curry, who was later traded to the Knicks the season after, became a disaster. Chicago finished 47-35 overall. It was also the first time the franchise made the playoffs since '98, when Michael Jordan captured his 6th title. Washington, on the other hand, had their star player in 23-year-old Gilbert Arenas, viewed as an up-and-coming superstar, averaged 25.5 points, almost 5 rebounds, and 5 assists. But unfortunately, he would tear his ACL 2 seasons after. Could have been one of the best players in the late 2000s. Led Washington to 45 wins, alongside Larry Hughes, who put up 22 points, nearly 3 steals, and prime Antoine Jamison. The Pacers were viewed as title contenders before the season started, could have won the championship if it wasn't for the brawl. With Ron Artest suspended for the season afterwards, Indy finished 44-38 overall, led by prime Jermaine O'Neal, putting up 24-9, prime Steven Jackson, and the 39-year-old Reggie Miller, who was in his final season. It was the first time in league history where both teams in the conference finals from the year before didn't make the playoffs the year after, with the Timberwolves and Lakers missing the postseason. Dallas, without Nash, had Jason Terry, was still a dominant team led by Nowitzki, winning 58 games with Dirk entering his prime. T-Mac and Yao were considered one of the best duos for the future before injuries happened. Houston finished as the 5th seed, winning 51 games as an up-and-coming team with a great future. the Kings weren't as good as previous years, traded franchise player Chris Webber in the middle of the season would not be the same player after his injuries. The Nuggets were also considered a bright young team after acquiring Kenyon Martin from the Nets, won 49 games, and still only managed to finish as a 7th seed. Yes, the Western Conference was still very stacked back then. 20-year-old Melo had a solid team with good veterans in Andre Miller, Marcus Camby, and 5'5" Earl Boykins. Atlanta was the worst team, winning a pathetic 13 games total, selected Marvin Williams after the season with the 2nd overall pick, who didn't help much. New Orleans had the 2nd worst record, 18 wins, had the 4th pick, snatching the best player in the 05 draft, Chris Paul. The All-Star events were held in Denver, where Yao Ming received the most votes. Steve Nash won the skills challenge, Q Rich won the 3-point shootout, and Amari was the runner-up in the dunk contest, falling short to Josh Smith. Allen Iverson won All-Star Game MVP, only scoring 15 points, had 10 assists and 5 steals in a 125-115 win. Zydrunas Ilgauskas was also an All-Star that season, alongside 20-year-old LeBron James. As for LeBron's Cavs, head coach Paul Silas was fired after 64 games, replaced by Brendan Malone. James was already considered a top 10 player, while the Cavs lost the tiebreaker for the 8th spot to the Nets, lost 8 of their final 13 games, fired GM Jim Paxson afterwards, finished 42-40 overall. It was the franchise's first winning season since 1998. With James and Big Z, Drew Gooden and Jeff McGinnis were the only two to average double-figure scoring numbers. Iron Nubo, Eric Snow, 22-year-old Anderson Varejao, and Robert Traylor were the solid role players. LeBron made All-NBA 2nd team, averaged 27.2 points, 7.4 rebounds, 7.2 assists, right around his career numbers, 2.2 steals, the highest of his career, and over 42 minutes of action. As for college hoops, UNC defeated Illinois in the national title game, led by future NBA players Raymond Felton, Sean May, Rashad McCants, and Marvin Williams, knocking off Darren Williams, Steve Brown, and Luke Durhead. Felton and Marvin Williams from the title game are the only ones who are still in the NBA today. Before the postseason started, Phoenix, Miami, San Antonio, and Detroit were the 4 heavy title contenders who many expected to go far in the playoffs. Ben Wallace won his 3rd Defensive Player of the Year award, while Bruce Bowen and Tim Duncan finished in the top 5. Ben Gordon was the 6th man. Bobby Simmons, who many of you never heard of, won Most Improved Player. Mike D'Antoni, Coach of the Year. The postseason did not disappoint, with Dallas and Houston going the distance. San Antonio knocked off Seattle in a tough 6-game series. Thanks to Tim Duncan's clutch layup, Phoenix came back in Game 6 against Dallas, with Nash getting the best of Dirk, averaged an incredible 30.3 points, 12 assists, 6.5 rebounds that series. Amari put up almost 29 a game, 12.5 boards, abusing Eric Dampier the whole series, with each team scoring over 100 points all 6 games, one of the most fun forgotten playoff series. Miami, led by Shaq and Wade, swept both the Nets and Wizards in the first 2 rounds. Detroit took care of business, beating Philly and Indy with their amazing defense. As anticipated, Detroit and Miami was an epic series, with the defending champs taking on superstar Dwayne Wade and Shaq. Going the distance, Detroit won in the tight Game 7 on the road, while the Spurs stole the first 2 in Phoenix, with Joe Johnson out due to an eye injury. Returned for Game 3, San Antonio won again, before closing out in 5. The 2 best defensive teams, Detroit and San Antonio, matched up in the finals, the last 2 NBA champions. After blowouts in the first 4 games, while LeBron was in attendance for Game 4, taking notes, experiencing firsthand what he will have to go through in the near future, witnessing the intensity of the finals, Robert Horry drained one of the most important shots in NBA Finals history, cementing his legacy as one of the most clutch role players the game has ever seen. The Spurs knocked off the Pistons in the tough 7-game series, with the final score 81-74 in Game 7. Tim Duncan won his 3rd Finals MVP. Since then, LeBron's been to the playoffs 13 straight seasons, including an amazing 8-year stretch of advancing to the finals, winning 4 MVPs, 3 All-Star Game MVPs, and making 12 All-NBA first teams. If James were to miss the playoffs this season, it would be very weird since a lot of people are not used to it.
That was what the NBA looked like the last time LeBron James missed the postseason. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed it. I talk NBA comparisons, amazing storylines, NBA history, and anything basketball that will interest you. If you love the NBA, subscribe for more content, more great stuff coming soon. I love all of you. See you next time.